The breaking point. Captain Alina Reyes straightened her midnight blue uniform as she walked down the gleaming corridor of the Galactic Coalition's central spire. Her boots clicked against the polished floor, each step echoing her resolve. Behind her, Lieutenant Commander Jackson and Dr. Paddle followed in tense silence. The weight of Earth's future rested on their shoulders today. "They're expecting us to cave again," Jackson muttered, adjusting the diplomatic tablet under his arm. Elena nodded without turning. "They always do." For 7 years, humanity had been part of the Galactic Coalition, an alliance of 47 spacefaring species that governed most of the known galaxy. 7 years of restrictions, regulations, and thinly veiled contempt. 7 years of humanity proving its worth only to be pushed back into its corner. The massive doors to the Grand Chamber parted silently. Inside, representatives from across the galaxy sat in tiered seating that rose in a perfect circle. The architecture was designed to intimidate, to remind newcomers that the Coalition had existed for 10,000 years before humans learned to split the atom. Captain Reyes announced a melodious voice as a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin approached. This was High Chancellor Telix of the Ardani, the current head of the Coalition Council. "We are pleased you could join us for this special session." "High Chancellor," Elena replied with a respectful nod that stopped just short of a bow. The distinction was intentional. Equals nodded. Subordinates bowed. After 7 years, the Coalition still hadn't noticed this small human rebellion. As they took their seats at the small human delegation area, Elena surveyed the chamber. The elder races occupied the most prominent positions. The crystalline Ardani, the gaseous Volari confined to their environmental chambers, the insectoid Thrix with their compound eyes constantly shifting. Below them sat the middle races, those who had achieved interstellar travel between 1 and 5,000 years ago. Humanity was positioned among the younger races, those still considered developing by Coalition standards. "The Council calls this session to order," announced Telix, their voice carrying effortlessly through the chamber. "Today we address concerns regarding human technological development and expansion." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing human colony worlds, research stations, and ships. Each was marked with pulsing red indicators. "In the past Coalition Standard Year," continued Telix, "human expansion has exceeded approved parameters by 37%. Additionally, 17 technological innovations were developed without proper oversight and approval." Elena touched her console, requesting permission to speak. After a deliberate delay, Telix acknowledged her. "High Chancellor, every expansion and development was within the parameters set by the Treaty of Sol. We have adhered to all regulations while working to contribute positively to the Coalition." A Thrix representative clicked forward. "Human Captain, your species developed quantum entanglement communications at your Epsilon research facility. This technology was not approved for development." "And yet," Elena replied evenly, "when we shared this technology with the Coalition, it was quickly adopted by 23 member species. Our innovation benefits everyone." "After you developed it without permission," hissed a reptilian draconian. "Humans consistently disregard established protocols." One by one, representatives stood to voice complaints. Human ships moved too quickly through regulated space. Human trading practices were too aggressive. Human cultural elements were contaminating other species. Human population growth remained concerningly rapid. Elena listened in silence, maintaining a diplomat's neutral expression, while inside her frustration built like a gathering storm. 7 years of this. 7 years of Earth holding back, compromising, sharing technology, and still being treated like unwelcome guests. "The Coalition Security Committee proposes new measures," Telix announced, and a new hologram appeared showing the small neural device. "Oversight monitors will be installed on all human vessels and colonies. These will ensure compliance with Coalition technology restrictions." The chamber fell quiet. Even species known for their anti-human sentiment seemed uncomfortable with this proposal. "Neural monitors?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite her rising anger. You wish to place surveillance devices in our minds. Not in your minds, Telix corrected smoothly. Only in your systems, to ensure compliance and safety for all coalition members. Elena stood slowly. The human section of the chamber was small compared to the ancient races who had multiple representatives. Earth had just one delegation here, but now that delegation would speak clearly. For 7 years, humanity has respected your restrictions, she said, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent chamber. We limited our expansion. We shared our discoveries. We followed rules we had no part in creating. She stepped forward, approaching the central platform where only council members were permitted. A violation of protocol, but she no longer cared. And how have we been repaid? With suspicion, with additional restrictions, and now with proposals to monitor our thoughts and innovations as if we were criminals. Captain Reyes. Telix interrupted. This is not the appropriate time for. It is exactly the appropriate time. Elena cut in. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. No one interrupted the High Chancellor. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I hereby formally withdraw humanity from the Galactic Coalition, effective immediately. The chamber exploded into chaos. Some representatives shouted questions, others demands. A few, Elena noted with interest, actually appeared pleased. You cannot simply withdraw, sputtered Telix, their iridescent skin flashing with emotion. There are procedures, protocols, which we have followed. Elena replied, nodding to Dr. Patil, who handed her a data crystal. This contains our formal withdrawal notice, as permitted under Article 547 of the Coalition Charter. All human ships, personnel, and installations will withdraw from Coalition space within 30 standard days. She turned to address the entire chamber. Humanity joined the Coalition hoping to be part of something greater. We did not agree to become something lesser. With that, Elena and her team walked toward the exit, their steps measured and dignified. Behind them, Telix called for order as the council descended into chaos. Outside the chamber, Lieutenant Commander Jackson's face was pale. Is it done? Elena nodded. Send the signal. All human ships are to begin withdrawal according to the Exodus Protocol. We're going home. As they walked toward the Earth Embassy, Elena felt something she hadn't experienced in years of diplomatic service. Freedom. Within hours, the withdrawal was underway. On Coalition Station Alpha, the largest trading hub in the sector, Director Maria Chen stood at the operations center watching the organized chaos unfold. Human engineers were shutting down systems, documenting procedures, and preparing to leave. Director, the Coalition Administrator is demanding we stop the withdrawal, her assistant reported. He says we're violating our contracts. All contracts included standard diplomatic exemption clauses, Maria replied calmly. They just never expected us to use them. On the main screen, she could see dozens of human ships departing from the station's docking bays. Similar scenes were playing out across Coalition space. The Exodus Protocol had been prepared years ago, when Earth's leaders first recognized the Coalition might never treat humanity as equals. What happens to the life support systems when we leave? Asked a young engineer. We're the only ones who understand the hybridized technology. We've left detailed manuals, Maria answered. What they do with them is their concern now. The station lights flickered briefly, then stabilized. That's the first power fluctuation, her chief engineer noted. There'll be more once our team leaves the reactor section. Maria nodded, feeling a strange mixture of concern and vindication. For years, humans had integrated themselves into critical systems throughout Coalition space. Not as part of some master plan, but because they were needed. Humans worked faster, adapted quicker, and solved problems more creatively than most Coalition races. The Coalition had happily used human expertise while simultaneously restricting human potential. On the diplomatic level, Captain Rice was executing the final stages of the withdrawal. In her office at the Earth Embassy, she faced a holographic projection of the Coalition Inner Council. This hasty action will have serious consequences for Earth, warned Telix. Reconsider your position. Our position is clear, Elena replied. The neural monitors were merely the final insult in a long pattern of unequal treatment. We can discuss alternatives, offered a Volari representative, their gaseous form shifting anxiously. Perhaps modifications to the oversight proposal. The time for discussion has passed, Elena interrupted gently. The withdrawal is proceeding. All human personnel will be out of coalition space within the month. And then what? Demanded a draconian counselor. You'll be isolated, vulnerable. The coalition provides protection, resources, trade networks. Elena allowed herself a small smile. We manage before the coalition. We'll manage again. What she didn't say was that humanity had been holding back, restricting their own innovation and expansion to comply with coalition regulations. Those restrictions were about to be lifted. As the diplomatic exchange continued, the practical effects of humanity's exit were already being felt. On Nexus Station, the coalition's primary medical hub, Dr. James Wong was overseeing the evacuation of human medical staff. You can't all leave, protested the station administrator, a tall Meridian with silvery skin. We have patients who need treatment, procedures scheduled. We've trained your staff on essential procedures, Dr. Wong explained, packing his medical equipment. The coalition restricted our advanced medical technology, remember? Said it was developing too rapidly for proper evaluation. Now you'll have to develop your own. Across coalition space, similar scenes played out. Human traders closed their businesses. Human engineers powered down systems they had designed and maintained. Human scientists secured their research, taking discoveries the coalition had deemed too advanced back to Earth. In the Coalition Security Command, General Vax of the militaristic Kron reviewed the disturbing reports flowing in. Humans made up 30% of our border patrols, an aide reported. Those ships are returning to Earth space. Reassign other vessels, the general ordered. Sir, we don't have enough ships to maintain the security perimeter, not without the human fleet. The general's face darkened. The coalition had always been concerned about human military potential. Their ships were smaller but more maneuverable, their weapons less powerful but more precise. They had insisted humanity limit its fleet size as a condition of joining the coalition. Now those ships were leaving, creating gaps in the defensive network that had protected coalition space for centuries. As the first day of withdrawal ended, Captain Elena Reyes stood in her quarters on the Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon, watching the majestic spire of the coalition capital grow smaller through her viewport. 7 years of frustration were behind her. An uncertain future lay ahead. Her communication console chimed. Captain, we're receiving thousands of messages from across coalition space, reported her communications officer. Many species are expressing concern about our departure. Some are even offering to mediate a return. Archive the messages, Elena ordered, but maintain course for Earth. She turned away from the viewport, from the gleaming spire that represented 10,000 years of galactic history, a history that had never made room for human potential. They never understood us, she murmured. They never even tried. As the Horizon accelerated away from coalition space, the first systems began to fail behind them. The ripples of humanity's exit were becoming waves. And soon, they would become a flood. The Reckoning. 3 months after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Coalition, Chancellor Vrax of the Meridian Republic stood before the Emergency Council session, his silvery skin dulled with exhaustion. The Grand Chamber, once a symbol of order and stability, now reflected the coalition's deteriorating state. Emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across worried faces, and the air recyclers hummed erratically. The situation continues to worsen, Vrax announced, his voice amplified through the chamber. 37 major systems are experiencing critical infrastructure failures. Trade has declined 63% across coalition space. The holographic display showed a galaxy map with alarming red zones spreading like a virus. Each represented areas where coalition authority and services were breaking down. The humans planned this, hissed Councillor Drez of the Draconian Imperium. They deliberately positioned themselves in vital systems, knowing their departure would cause maximum damage. That is incorrect, countered Ambassador Lith of the Thrix Collective, their compound eyes reflecting the emergency lights. Analysis shows humans simply excelled at the tasks we assigned them. We pushed them into critical roles because they performed them better than other species. Vrax raised his hands for silence as the debate threatened to derail into familiar territory. For 3 months, the Coalition had oscillated between blaming humans and blaming themselves, while conditions steadily deteriorated. Assigning blame will not repair our systems, Vrax said firmly. This emergency session has one purpose: to finalize our diplomatic mission to Earth. The proposal was unprecedented. In 10,000 years, the Coalition had never sent a high-level delegation to petition a withdrawn species to return. Yet here they were, preparing to do exactly that. The mission parameters are simple, continued Vrax. We will offer significant concessions in exchange for humanity's return to the Coalition. Expanded territories, reduced oversight, technology development freedoms, and full voting rights on the Inner Council. Too generous, muttered several representatives of the elder races. Our alternative is continued decline, Vrax responded sharply. The Coalition constructed its infrastructure with human innovation integrated throughout. Replacement systems are failing faster than we can install them. What remained unsaid was the growing concern about threats beyond Coalition borders. Without human ships, the defensive perimeter had dangerous gaps. 3 border outposts had already reported incursions from species beyond known space. The diplomatic vessel departs tomorrow, Vrax concluded. I will leave the mission personally. Meanwhile, on Earth, the transformed landscape reflected humanity's accelerated development. Released from Coalition restrictions, human innovation had exploded. The orbital shipyards, once limited to producing standardized Coalition-approved vessels, now constructed ships of revolutionary design. Quantum communication arrays enabled instantaneous contact across the solar system and beyond. In the United Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Sarah Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports with her staff. Coalition systems continue to deteriorate, reported her intelligence chief. Their attempt to replace human engineers with Volari specialists resulted in 3 more station failures last week. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. And the diplomatic mission? Confirmed. Chancellor Vrax himself is leading a delegation to Earth. Their ship will arrive in approximately 72 hours. The Admiral turned to the large viewport overlooking the sprawling lunar development. What had been a small research outpost under Coalition regulations was now a thriving colony. New habitation domes expanded weekly, and the experimental terraforming project, strictly forbidden under Coalition oversight, showed promising results. They'll try to convince us to return, Sarah mused. What do we want in exchange? Dr. Marcus Lee, the science advisor, stepped forward. We've compiled a list of non-negotiable conditions. Recognition of all human technological developments made since withdrawal. Unrestricted research rights. Equal representation on all Coalition councils. They'll resist the equal representation, noted political director Kwan. The elder races have controlled the voting balance for millennia. Sarah smiled thinly. Then they haven't fully understood our position yet. When the Coalition diplomatic vessel entered the Sol system 3 days later, its crew was astounded by what they encountered. The human defense fleet had tripled in size. Massive orbital structures surrounded Earth and Mars. The lunar surface glowed with the lights of extensive colonies. Impossible, whispered Vrax, staring at the data. Coalition intelligence estimated humanity would struggle without access to Coalition resources. These developments should have taken decades. The humans escorted the Coalition ship to Earth Orbital Diplomatic Station, a gleaming facility that hadn't existed 3 months earlier. As the Coalition delegation docked, they were greeted by Admiral Chen and a small team of human officials. Chancellor Vrax, Sarah greeted formally. Welcome to Earth space. The Meridian Chancellor performed the traditional greeting gesture of his species. Admiral Chen, We appreciate your willingness to receive our delegation. We've prepared accommodations suited to each of your species' requirements." Sarah replied smoothly. "We'll begin formal discussions tomorrow after you've had time to rest." As the delegation was escorted to their quarters, Vrax noted the efficiency of the station. The environmental systems were more advanced than anything in Coalition space. The artificial gravity adjusted automatically to each species' homeworld standard. Even the lighting shifted subtly to accommodate different visual preferences. "They've advanced far beyond our estimates," he murmured to his aide. The formal negotiations began the next morning in an impressive conference chamber overlooking Earth. The blue-green planet rotated slowly below them, clouds swirling across its surface. "The Coalition recognizes that our previous arrangement with humanity was imperfect." Vrax began carefully. "We are prepared to offer significant concessions to facilitate your return." He outlined the proposal: expanded territories, reduced oversight, technology development freedoms, and representation on the Inner Council. It was more than any species had been offered in 5,000 years. Admiral Chen listened politely, then shook her head. "Chancellor, your offer assumes we are eager to return to the Coalition. We are not." She activated a holographic display showing human development across the Sol system. "In 3 months without Coalition restrictions, we've achieved what would have taken decades under your oversight."